Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the channel. Thank you guys very much for clicking on this video. Today we are taking a look at Wilco Nienaber's golf swing. If you don't know who Wilco Nienaber is, he is probably the longest hitter on the planet right now in terms of even longer than Bryson DeChambeau, and he's not done the whole bulking up thing. He is just naturally super long, and he actually got a ball speed recorded of 211 miles per hour on the golf course, not in a simulator, not anything like that, not trying to smash it super hard, just on the golf course, no, normal swing, 211 mile per hour ball speed. To put that into perspective, Bryson DeChambeau around the mid 190s ball speed, so that is significantly more really. And today we're taking a look at his golf swing, so let's dive straight in. I've got some great swings for you guys to have a look at. First of all, we're going to have a look at his swing with driver, then we're going to have a look at some 3-wood, some irons, and let's dive straight in. So setup position is excellent, great posture. Wilco is South African. He's quite long levered, quite not slim, but quite athletically built, and has a really good setup, really good posture. And as we take the club away, if we pause it kind of parallel to the ground here, we are a little bit inside the line of his feet here, but we'll be able to see a few more down the line videos in a second. But that club does stay outside the hands. Quite an unusual wrist position actually at this angle. His grip is quite unusual too. We can kind of see from this angle that left wrist looks quite cupped, and that right, it looks like quite a strong right hand grip. But he is pivoting well. We can see his shoulders and hips turning already. As we take it to the top, it's going to get a huge wide swing. If we pause it at the top, there's quite a lot of unusual things about this golf swing. It's definitely not what I would call traditional. Some very unusual takeaway and backswing, and then it starts to sync up a little bit more in the downswing. But at this position, we can see, well, that club is probably just airing on the side of across the line. If he had a bit more wrist hinge, that club would be more across the line. But a few things to note. How is he generating all this power? Well, look at that right arm. Look how much width he has. Also, you can actually see from this position how long his left arm is. I mean, it looks like he would have a huge wingspan in terms of his arm length. That is, his left arm looks huge, and his right arm very straight, about 90-degree angle on that right elbow, and very away from his body. That right elbow is very high, very away from his body. The hands are above the shoulder plane, and if we look at the lower body, he's loaded into that right side. Quite a lot of knee bend in the right leg at this position. And now let's slowly play it down. So quite a few interesting things are going to happen. So we're going to play this really slow. He's going to shallow out the club. The hands and arms are going to drop down as that right elbow moves in front, shallows out the club. But look at this rotation, how hard he starts to rotate from here. Gets a huge amount of lag too, but releases that lag quite early. And if we pause it kind of parallel to the ground here, well, the club is very inside here, which is quite interesting, even though it kind of looks like more of a fade swing. But look at that rotation. That right elbow is beautifully connected to the body. The arms are very deep. And there's huge amount of rotation. The club here is at parallel to the ground, and his hips and shoulders are already starting to become open to the target. And as we play this through onto the ball, he's going to jump up quite explosively off the ground. And he actually tends to aim quite far left of his target, because we can see, if we pause this at impact, he's actually hitting this quite far right of where he's actually aiming. Quite interesting there. But look how open his body is at impact. Look at that impact position. That is pretty incredible. It's hugely open shoulders and hips. And from here, if we play it through, but you can see also he's jumping up off the ground, extending. And that's one reason he hits the ball so far, uses the ground very well. And from here, if we play it through, holds that club face open quite a lot really, and swings through a huge amount of extension in the back. Even that left foot moves back quite a lot and then he comes through to this nice balanced extended finish position. So let's just play this thing through for you guys a few times for you guys to take a look at. It is pretty unique. So let's just play it through so you guys can take a look at. I do like the rhythm of it. It's not kind of, you know, Bryson when he's really going after one is definitely, you know, he obviously unleashes so much power through the ball and it's very quick back and quick through. This isn't really like that. You can even see from this slow motion there's kind of a little bit of a pause at the top, fairly slow backswing and then pause at the top. But now let's have a look. What should we take a look at next? Let's have a look at a 3-wood swing. And this is a really good look to have a look at Wilco's swing. Perfectly down the line here. Great angle. So setup position, great setup again. Look how not much knee bend. This is kind of what I would describe as the perfect amount of knee bend. And hips are nicely over the ankles. Also, we can kind of see how engaged his legs are already in this swing. Really engaging the muscles and great posture. He does have quite a lot of like wrist set already at this position. The hands are quite low. There's more of an angle between the arms and the club shaft at this position. Looks like he's actually hitting a hybrid or something here. Maybe a 5-wood actually. As he takes the club back, if we pause it parallel to the ground, well, he has a huge wide takeaway. Those hands and arms have actually moved slightly away from the body as he's taken this club away really nicely and wide, the club staying outside the hands. And he starts to open the face quite early. But he's also really starting to already load into that right side. And this is one way he generates so much power. But he must be an incredibly athletic guy to be able to do this. As we slowly play it to the top, look at this club plane. Look how it stays beautifully on plane in front of him. Then moves up, works up above that shoulder plane. If we pause it here at the top, very, very minimal wrist set. One thing we're noticing with a lot of these young guys who hit the ball a long way, if we're talking about like Will Zalatoris, for example, long hitter, and Will is pretty small. Like, if Will was in Wilco Nienaber's body, he would probably hit it exactly the same distance with his swing. Very similar swings, actually, when you compare them as well. So, at this position, very little wrist set, and that's great because it keeps the club on a wider arc, and he keeps huge amounts of width with the arms from the body. Look at that right elbow again, 90 degrees away from the body. That left arm, huge amounts of width. And also a few interesting things to notice here. If you look at Wilco's left wrist, it's actually slightly cupped, which is very interesting, but the club isn't open. And that means Wilco has a slightly strong left-hand grip, possibly just a few degrees. But this is a trend we've seen with a lot of the swings we've been looking at recently, that a lot of these pros just slightly strong left-hand grip in their golf swings. And that's because they want to rotate and stabilize the club more with the rotation. If you have a square club face, all you have to do is turn through the ball. And also, if we look at Wilco's lower body here, again, a lot of knee bend in that right knee, really loaded into the ground. Looks like he's, you know, the lower body looks like it's almost ready to do some sort of squat and generating huge amount of power. As he starts to swing down, we're actually going to see the lower body, the knees start to really squat and push into the ground. This is one way he really generates so much power, and that club really shallows. Look at that right elbow movement as he rotates so hard. And if we pause it just before parallel to the ground here, we can see, look how open those hips are. Now, this is not something most of us can copy, unfortunately, guys. I would love to sit here and tell you, oh, guys, you know, go swing like Wilco, but the reality is we're just not flexible, mobile enough, not athletic enough. Wilco is a very, very athletic guy. And as he comes through here, if we pause it at impact, that is quite an incredible impact position, very modern impact position. So much rotation, so much force generated off the ground. And look at that connection with the right elbow, and the arm stays so deep. And then from here, he's really going to push off the ground and jump up through the ball slightly, but maintains his spine angle really, really well after impact. And really beautiful balanced finish as he comes through. Love to see that. Absolutely love this golf swing. Let's just play it through a few times for you guys. it really is a great swing. I mean, there is a lot you can copy about it, and I'll go through with you guys at the end. There's a lot to learn from it, you know, even for those of us who aren't quite as athletic. And there's a few ways I'll sum up for you guys at the end of this of how to generate more power like Wilco does in his swing here. And now, guys, let's have a look with the driver, guys. I want to have a look at this swing here, and it is such a powerful swing. We're going to have one more look at the driver, and then I'll sum up some things for you guys. So let's have a look. So setup position, we've kind of already been through that. Nothing new here, but a really good setup, something that could definitely be copied, some aspects of the setup. As he takes the club back, look how outside he's really keeping that club face. If we club head, if we pause it parallel to the ground, it's a really unusual kind of takeaway in the sense of the hands and the club. The body actually moves in a fairly traditional sense. The arms just get a little bit far away from him at this point. You can see how they're not really connected to the body, but he does a good job of rerouting them on the way down. And as we slowly play it to the top, I do like how now the arms stay in front of him, but then work up slightly. And if we pause this at the top, well, interestingly, a bit more of a laid off position here. That could be that Wilco's trying to hit a fade here. Typically, players will get the club slightly more laid off if they're trying to hit a fade, and they'll get it slightly more down the line if they're trying to hit a draw. But a few things to note, we can notice all the same things we've just talked about. Really loaded into that right side, a lot of knee bend in the right knee, big hip and shoulder turn, club hands are above the shoulder plane, huge width, 90-degree right arm, right elbow. But yeah, that club is definitely a bit more laid off, and we can also see that cup in Wilco's left wrist, just minor amount of cup in that left wrist, but the club face is actually square. As we start to play this down, let's just play this through. So much rotation. It is so impressive. If we pause this parallel to the ground, I mean, it's just absolutely unbelievably impressive how he rotates that hard and I don't think this may be the most amount of rotation I've probably ever seen in anyone's golf swing. That club face, interestingly, is, well, I wouldn't say open, but it's not as square as some other people's, but he is hitting driver here, so it will be a little bit more open. But also look how much weight is really being pushed off the ground. As we come into impact here, he's extending up off the ground, pushing with the legs, driving up off the ground, and again, so much rotation at this position. Interestingly, even though, you know, with a lot of the players we see who go this hard at the ball, they often, like Xander Schauffele, we recently took a look at, Justin Thomas as well, people like this, they do tend to lose their posture and have a lot of curvature in the spine, which isn't very good for your back. But interestingly, Wilco here actually does have very good posture, actually, you know, at impact here. So it's quite interesting, even though, I mean, I'm not saying he'll never get a back injury, because he obviously does go very hard at the ball, but he definitely keeps better posture than a lot of these other guys, which is, even though he rotates probably more than them, which is pretty impressive. And as we play this through, jumps up off the ground, that left foot dragging back a little bit, kind of Matthew Wolff-esque finish here as he comes through to that beautiful balanced finish. I just love it. Let's have another look, just play it through a few times for you guys. Incredible athletic golf swing, absolutely incredible. I can't wait. I think this guy's going to be really good for the game of golf. I can't wait to see how his career progresses. Let's just have a look at one more driver swing, guys, and then we'll sum everything up. And I'm just going to play this through a few times for you guys, because we have pretty much talked about everything now. So you can just notice a lot of the same things. Just incredibly athletic swing, hits the ball an absolute mile. Just so, uses the ground so well. And guys, using the ground is really the main thing. that's really the main source of Wilco's power. He uses the ground so well. You can see him in the backswing when he takes the club away. We can see him loading into that right side, into that right hip with a lot of knee bend in the right knee. And he's really loaded into the ground. And then as he starts to swing down, we can see he really squats hard into the ground, and then as he comes up through impact, he'll push back off the ground and use that to generate power. Yes, the rotation helps. It helps stabilize the club face. It helps create more speed. But the ground is where the power comes from the lower body. That, and then also he keeps so much width with the hands and arms in the golf swing that he's swinging on a much wider arc, similar to Will Zalatoris. And the bigger the circle, in terms of the wider you're keeping the club head, the faster, the bigger, I haven't said that very well. The wider your golf swing, the wider you can keep the club head, the faster the outside of the circle is going to be moving, and the faster the club head's going to be moving. Therefore, you're going to create more speed and also more consistency. So I absolutely love that about Wilco's swing, and he keeps his posture very, very well. A few things maybe not to copy from his swing. Well, it looks like a slightly unusual grip. It's a little bit hard to see, but it does look like quite an unusual grip. I'm not a massive fan of, at address, he has quite a lot of like wrist hinge already, quite low hands. I prefer almost like Xander Schauffele would be the other side of that scale, with much higher hands, much less kind of set with the wrist at address. So that's maybe some small things there. The takeaway is unusual. It's something that, I think it really is his own. But that kind of works for him as well. It's clear that he gets in the right positions at the top. If he was getting in the wrong positions at the top, you might think about changing the takeaway a little bit. But it's a natural movement for him. He gets in the right position at the top, and then the downswing is just so good. So I'm really excited to see this guy play for the future. Let me know what you guys think of Wilco Nienaber's golf swing. Incredible talent. I really hope he does well out on tour, and I get to see him play for a long time. I'd love to see some head-to-head action with him and Bryson playing together. Would be incredible. So let me know, guys. Comment your thoughts down below. If there's anything I've missed from Wilco Nienaber's golf swing, feel free to comment down below. Like this video as well. Subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys in the next one. As always, guys, grip it and rip it.